guys, I'm starting a new series on my channel today, and we're going to be looking at Rwandan Sign Language and hopefully learning a little bit along the way. The reason that I am starting this series is because years and years ago, 2007, I first arrived in Rwanda as a sign language researcher working on the first standardised dictionary of Rwandan Sign Language. I was a voluntary services overseas volunteer, so a VSO, and I was working with the Rwandan National Association of the Deaf, which is now called the Rwandan National Union of the Deaf. And we spent 2 years going all around the country researching different signs in different regions to try to create the first standardised Rwandan Dictionary of Sign Language. We achieved that and we published it in 2009. Now the problem is that since then the dictionary has fallen out of print, and I am very uncertain about its copyright status. And every now and again, like the other week, somebody will email me asking me where they can get this, and they can't. There are only a very limited number of these published, and they haven't been in print for a really long time that I know of. If you know differently, let me know below. Now, the thing is that the signs in this dictionary are not copyrighted because signs, like words, are factual and facts cannot be copyrighted. However, the illustrations in the book and the text layout of the book can be copyrighted and are copyrighted, but I don't know by whom, and I don't know whether or not they will grant permission to just distribute it. So what I'm going to do is start a series here where we go through a few signs each episode. And also it's quite interesting for me because the signs are matched up with both the English word and the Kinyarwanda word. So this could also be useful if you're trying to learn Kinyarwanda, because it's also been shown in studies that we tend to remember words, phrases and sentences if there's a movement with them. So if you're trying to learn Kinyarwanda and you're learning Kinyarwanda Sign Language at the same time, then sometimes learning a sign for something can jog your memory and help you to recall the word a bit faster. So there's a whole load of benefits to sign language. So yes, this is the Sign Language Dictionary, the original version from 2009. And we're going to kick off this episode with a couple of quick questions about sign language. And also I'm going to teach you what you need to know before we begin this series about how you make certain hand shapes that are going to crop up again and again in the future. So the first question that I'm actually going to answer is sign language universal? And this is a question I get constantly. And the answer to that is no, it's not. Spoken languages are not universal. So it doesn't really make sense why sign language would be universal. Deaf people come from all different countries around the world and all different regions around the world. And often they grow up in small communities, and often there is not a nationalised sign language. So before this dictionary existed, you found little pockets and communities around the country, and they would be signing a sign language together with their friends and family. So in that respect, it's a very organic development of language. For example, Paisley in Scotland used to have its own sort of very thick dialect in sign language because it was a region where genetically a lot of people were born deaf, and therefore a language arose within that community. Martha's Vineyard in America is another one, very, very famous for having a huge deaf community, and their language grew up organically within that community. Same as spoken languages. So not only is sign language not universal, but it's also regional. People can have dialects. The people in the north of England and the south of Wales use a similar counting system, which is different to the people in the north of Wales and the south of England. So it's as complicated as spoken languages. Secondly, is sign language actually a language? Yes, it is. In whichever country it is a fully blown language with syntax, the ability to tell jokes and folklore and stories and to be inventive and to create poetry. It is a fully functioning language, not to be confused with something called Makaton. Makaton is a very, very basic type of sign language with just a few signs such as food and drink, which can be used with people with learning disabilities, and it's not a language in itself. There is no syntax, no sentence structure within that, no phonemes. You couldn't break it down linguistically, but it is used as a communication aid to help people who cannot speak as fluently or communicate as easily to express what they need and what they want to say. Whereas sign languages are full-blown languages and can be broken down linguistically. Okay, so just to give you an example of how different sign languages can be, I'm going to show you a couple of alphabet variations. Now, in the UK, the first guy to set up a national school for the deaf was a guy called Thomas Braidwood. And he founded the British School for the Deaf and the British alphabet, which goes like this. And it's quite easy to remember the vowels because there are 5 vowels in the alphabet and there are 5 fingers on your hand: A, E, I, O, and U. So whenever you've got a vowel, it'll be on this hand: A, E, I, O, U. So A, B for binoculars, C, D, E, vowel, F, just 2 fingers like this together, F, G, H, if you're hearing, it sounds like a H, I, J, K, which can be a bit difficult for people. It's a pointed finger, you crook it, and then you put a stick against it. So K, L, M, N, which is easy to remember because that's how many lines are coming down. 1 for L, 3 for M, 2 for N. O, vowel again. P, Q, R, little r. S, 2 pinky fingers. T, U, V, W, X, Y, which looks like the Y here, Y, Z. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. That is the British Sign Language alphabet. Now in America it's very different because the British Sign Language alphabet is 2-handed. In America it's 1-handed, like the French system, and the reason for that is because the guy who set up the first school for the deaf in America, a guy called Thomas Gallaudet, who also founded the first university for the deaf, Gallaudet University, he enlisted the help of a French gentleman called Laurent Clerc. And Laurent Clerc was a French deaf educator, which is why there's such a strong link between American Sign Language and French Sign Language. And their alphabet goes like this: A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, P, Q. It's very difficult. They're very similar. So the P is with the full P, the full circle, and the Q, you just open it like that. So Q, R, S. S is a bit like E. E is more open, S is closed. E, S. T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. It's quite complicated for me because that one isn't my natural one. So in the UK, somebody could ask me my name and I would say my name is Marion, but in America, I would say my name is Marion. So it's a very, very different approach. Now, the reason that you need to know at least the American one is because when we talk about learning sign language, we talk in terms of hand shape. So what shape hand are you using to make a sign? And the hand shapes are based on the alphabetic system. So if I tell you to make a B hand shape, it's going to be a flat one. It's going to be like A, B. That's my B hand shape. My A hand shape is that. What else might we use? We might use an R hand shape. So for, I'm hoping it's good luck, you know? Whereas in the UK, for luck, you'll be using the L hand shape, luck. So you need to become familiar with the hand shapes in the American sign language system, because even in the UK, we tend to say a B hand shape, we tend to say an L hand shape, rather than saying an L hand shape or a B hand shape, just because you can use it on one hand instead of needing both hands. There is one variation in the Rwandan Sign Language alphabet. Now, in the Rwandan Sign Language alphabet, it follows exactly the American Sign Language alphabet, except for one difference, which is T. So in the American Sign Language alphabet, your T is your thumb between these two fingers. That's a T. Now, in Rwandan Sign Language, that is slightly different. Point your finger and then you put your thumb up. So instead of the thumb being between the two fingers, the thumb is alongside the index finger. So that is a T in Rwandan Sign Language. And I was looking at that thinking, well, where did that hand shape come from? Because that's not a natural shape in British Sign Language. I don't think it is in American. And then I had a little aha moment, because before this dictionary existed, correct me if I'm wrong here, if you're watching and you know better than I do, but before this existed, I think the main school for the deaf here was run by Italian nuns. And when I Googled the Italian Sign Language alphabet, their T is this. So I think this might be a relic or, you know, a hand-me-down from the Italian Sign Language system that was being used before the Rwandan system took off. But I have also noticed that it's used in the Ugandan Sign Language alphabet. So I don't know. Let me know where that comes from if you've got any good ideas. But one thing I need to make really, really clear is, although it's very, very important to learn the hand shapes from the American alphabet, alphabets are not, strictly speaking, really a part of sign languages. Alphabets are related to the written words. So in English, it's the English alphabet is related to writing the English language. Sign languages, they have an annotation form, so you can explain to somebody how to sign something, but they don't really have an alphabet because it's not a written language. And so it's worth remembering that although we have got a sign language alphabet, those alphabets were mostly developed in educational systems to help to bridge that language barrier and to teach English to deaf people using an alphabet. So for example, like I say, if somebody asks me, you know, what's your name? I can sign it, M-A-R-I-O-N, but that isn't natural to sign language so much. In sign language, we have sign names. So my name in sign language is that. My name in sign language, if I need to spell it out to somebody, would be M-A-R-I-O-N. But it's like if somebody asked you in English, oh, what's your name? You wouldn't say, oh, my name is B-O-B, or, you know, J-A-M-E-S. That's basically what you're doing, is you're spelling out your name. So sign names tend to be given to you. You don't tend to get to choose them. Unless, I guess, if you move to a new place, then maybe you can pick a name that you like and tell everybody that's what it is. But for example, my sign name comes from Wednesday Addams, because back when I was 14 and I was learning sign language, my hair was very, very dark and I used to wear it in braids. and people thought I looked a little bit like Wednesday Addams. And that just kind of stuck with me for the rest of my life. And it's quite a memorable one. So yeah, I never really wanted to change it because it is quite memorable. But yeah, you will see people will often sign their name. So they say, hi, you know, my name's Marion, but then they'll immediately follow it with a sign name. And from that point on, that's what you call them. So yes, just to explain, the alphabets do exist, but they're not really a fundamental part of sign languages because they are that bridging tool between the written language of English and the non-written languages of sign languages. So I hope that explains things. So I'm going to stop talking now because I think I've given you a lot of information in one go. I would say go off and learn the American Sign Language alphabet first, and that is going to help you when we go forward in these sessions because you're going to know what the hand shapes look like. You're going to know what a K hand shape looks like for people. You're going to know what an L hand shape looks like in British Sign Language for luck, you know. So go and learn those, and I shall see you in the next video.